Welcome to Bain & Company's session on the power of repeatability. Our topic is fairly easy to explain, but it's hard to execute, especially in rapidly expanding global organizations, which we all live in, whether it's a company, an NGO. It's the idea that successful companies endure by maintaining a form of simplicity at their core. And it's based on a deep understanding of how they are really differentiated and what has been the real root cause for their past successes. They build a repeatable business model that produces continuous innovation. We're fortunate enough today to have three speakers that are going to talk and share their experiences on how that actually gets done.
Is it possible that maybe it's time to reconsider what our definition is of excellent and robust strategy in the world? And I actually think the answer is yes. So first we did a survey of 377 executives. We talked to them all, and we asked them, what is the main thing you're worried about? What is the primary barrier that you feel you have in your business now to achieve your objectives? 85% of them cited as their primary concern, not their competitors, not the slowing of the global economy, not some phenomenon related to the euro, not the absence of a technology that they didn't have, but they cited internal factors all related to forms of complexity. Difficulty deciding, difficulty focusing, difficulty mobilizing, difficulty recognizing opportunity. We began to realize that complexity has become the silent killer of profitable growth, maybe above everything else in the world today. So we went in search of the design principles of what we began to call the great repeatable model companies. A very strong statistical correlation with performance, by the way. The first is naturally from classical strategy and will not be perhaps that surprising. It was that when we began to look at those companies, what we found was that their epicenter, not all, but most of them, had an incredibly clear differentiation that popped out at you in Technicolor and that literally almost everybody could understand. The second design principle was a little bit different. It really had to do with the ability to take the strategy, the key tenets or principles of a strategy, and explode them down through the organization in a way that everyone through the organization could actually understand, to express them all the way to frontline routines, whether it was in stores, whether it was in telephone service centers, whether it was in product development. What are the 4 or 5 most important frontline routines that are the manifestation in the minds of the customer of how you are really different? It sounds pretty obvious, that kind of hard wiring. And yet the truth is, it's actually very difficult to do. And most management teams haven't often talked about their differentiation. And we find that you can actually measure the distance from the CEO to the front line in strategy, and that the shorter that is, the more nimble and the more aware a company is. And yet, over time, CEOs from the very first day of their very first product get drawn farther and farther from the front line. And that creates complexity, it creates slowness, it creates distortion, and it's a problem in a fast-moving world that we are in today. The third design principle, a small number of very powerful systems, not built around financials, but built around a couple measures of the health of the core business that allowed the company to adapt and react. So those really are the 3 elements of what we thought of as really the great repeatable models.
Today we employ 21,000 people. It's today a completely international, truly global business. In more than 120 countries we are active. And we sell the products that are market-leading products in the construction industry, in the fastening technology. Now let me share with you what are the key success factors that fueled the company in the last decades. The first success factor is closeness to customers. The second driver for success was the in-depth know-how of the needs of our customers. We know exactly what are their unsolved needs, what can we do better in the future. And last but not least, a key success factor in the last years was the focus on innovation and on quality. Let me go now into what you heard from Chris, into these 3 design principles, and share with you, in the example of Hilti, how are we differentiated in our strategy. We have a very deep know-how on the applications of our customers. Mechanical, electrical, construction companies around the world. Based on this know-how, we bring innovative, value-adding solutions to these customers in the construction industry, and we do that in a direct sales approach. This is a clear differentiation to anybody else in the industry. What about non-negotiable principles that are critical for the success of our business model? The first one, where we do not negotiate in the company, that everybody knows around the world, is the direct contact to customers. Around the world, everywhere, in 120 countries, we are selling direct. We have no intermediaries. The second non-negotiable principle is focus on quality and innovation. No compromise on that. Let me move to the second principle. We drive competitive advantage based on feedback from the field. This is a very important issue for our company. We have here 2, 3 technologies or approaches that we use. The first one is a competition radar. We do 4 times a year in about 40 countries of the world. However, there are some challenges in such a repeatable formula. Probably the biggest challenge, and Chris was talking about that already, is complexity. We have to avoid the scope creep. We have to be aware of the limitations of our business model.
Thank you for coming. It's been a pleasure to have you, and we're looking forward to repeating it next year on a different topic. Thank you.